Welcome, everyone. Erik Roth, shamanic astrologer here, doing another part two of a new series that I'm involved in and interviewing and having discussions with other astrologers and other people and healers and other helpers out there in the world. So today we're going to be talking with Daniel Seibert, known as Astro Dan, and he's been a professional astrologer for years, studying and being involved in astrology since 1995. So he's got a lot of knowledge and insight and experience that he's bringing to the table, and it's going to be fun to chat with him. So Daniel, Astro Dan, welcome
Uh,
to this.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be in your presence here. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing.
yeah.
Um, yeah, as you say, I first got into astrology back in 1995 when a friend of mine handed me a Rosicrucian ephemeris book. And this would have probably been, 'cause those were usually, I think, 100-year portions or 200-year portions. I can't remember or yeah, because it was 1900 to 2000, I think. Anyway, yeah, because anyway. So, and I read, I thought this was just fascinating, all the symbols and everything. And so then I got my chart done, and then I was getting into doing the study, and it was like how it totally explained some of my conundrums, my personal conundrums of the dynamics that I'm trying to manage that are very different. So anyway, it was a very interesting time, and I enjoyed discovering astrology, and then it just became a major part of my life because I just studied and studied and studied and worked, done charts. I've probably done hundreds of charts over the years. No, more than that. Yeah, hundreds. So anyway, very interesting to study so many different things with astrology.
Yeah. Yeah. And what would you say like that really got you going, that really captured your attention about wanting to keep going with it?
Well, another thing that I resonate with astrology is it's kind of mathematical and geometric. And that's a geometry has always been a big uh, interest of mine. It was my favorite math in school. I was a carpenter for 25 years, and you got to use geometry in carpentry. And so astrology was sort of that spiritual extension of my interest in geometry and shapes. And what I like is how this you can take the math and relate it to the spiritual experience. So it's sort of a blending of the mental and emotional sides of the person,
Mm.
and so
Yeah.
I resonated very well with that and absorbed it so much over the years, and I just enjoy the color of the signs. We've got 12 signs. They're all given 30 degrees each. They're all treated equally, and it's like a board of 12 totally different energies coming together to create life. And I also like that. I like the equality of all the signs, and yet it's very important for them to be tied together to create reality, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. And I mean, do you with the geometry part, do you like when you see planetary aspects, do you is that something that you really focus upon? Is those are those planetary relationships there?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought about how much emphasis I put on the aspects versus other things, but I I guess I do tend to pick up on the aspects immediately. Um, that I This isn't an aspect, but my one of my favorite numbers I love seeing come up in charts is the number 11, whether it's a planet at 11 degrees or things happening in the 11th house, which is Aquarius. And I because it's a master number and it usually indicates that someone that's an area of life that someone has the capacity to be a master in
Hmm.
when
Yeah.
11 shows up somewhere. So I like special numbers like that. I like the number 13 because it's very mysterious. But aspects, talking about aspects, stelliums are very interesting. Stelliums, oppositions, you just, yeah, all of those shapes. I guess I tend to look at those pretty earlier on when I'm interpreting the chart.
Yeah, yeah. And what would you say, like, if there's, is there, I know that the friend that gave you the Rosicrucian Ephemeris, is there any like specific astrologer, one or a group of astrologers that really influenced you, or a particular kind of astrology that really spoke to
There's,
you?
well, I have had a lot of astrology books that I've read over the years, and I have some favorite authors that I've enjoyed reading. I'll start with my most recent author that I've really enjoyed was Melanie Reinhardt, who did this book on the healing journey of it's Chiron and the healing journey, I think.
I've
Um,
heard of that one. Yes.
really, really good book, and she's definitely got quite a mastery of understanding regarding Chiron. And that was a recent study because I was fascinated with Chiron. I was going to be teaching a class on Chiron, so so Melanie Reinhardt, there's a lot of I love all my books. Everybody always has such a great, interesting take. There's one I'm trying to remember his name. Goodness sakes, I can't remember it now. Anyway, it was a very, very awesome book where he did this very creative kind of bringing the energy into reality, creating a lot of realistic explanations of the energy. Like he took Mars and talked about the type of tool that each Mars is, Mars and each of the signs. And so he described each Mars and each of the signs as the type of tool. And I thought that was fun. And I just,
That is fun. I haven't heard that one before.
yeah, I'll have to
What,
look
what was this
back.
astrologer's name again?
I wish I could remember. I'd have to go back and look
Oh,
at the book. I can't remember his name now. I've got to get a bibliography put on in like a spreadsheet so I can access it on my phone. But um, yeah, I can't remember it. Alan Oken, I really enjoy his book. Um, he's more of a much more deeper spiritual take. For years, is it called Transit? Robert Hand's what is it? Transits,
Planets in Transit.
planets in
I'm
transit.
looking at
Oh
it
my
over at
goodness,
my one of my
that is
bookshelves here.
that was like it's been an absolute staple. Refer to that all the time. That's a marvelous book. So and being
Yeah,
here in
because
the
he breaks
Seattle,
down all the major
yeah,
transits
it's everything.
in there.
It's
Yeah,
everything.
it's a thick
Very
book, but
thorough,
it's worth it.
amazingly thorough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and our local astrology we have here in Seattle, Rob Bresney. I always enjoyed his insights. Very fun. Um, I guess we'll say down to earth astrological insights that he done. He's still going strong with that. But I used to read him in The Stranger years ago. Stranger newspaper is a kind of a local Capitol Hill Central um,
Oh, okay.
newspaper.
I
I
was
don't know.
trying to rack my
It's
brain
still
about
going.
that. Like,
Yeah, it's
what is
still going.
that?
Just a little local paper, but a lot of alternative, features in it. And one of the things was he would do a weekly horoscope breakdown for the 12 signs, but it was in this sort of fun, down to earth style. So yeah, there's a few astrologers that I enjoy.
Yeah. Um, I think I've asked you this before when we first met, but just a reminder, but if you were to classify your astrology, the kind of astrology that you have, would it fit into any particular one, or is it more of like sort of in the more general category?
Um, I'm really always trying to find a very picturesque way to describe what's going on in someone's chart. At times I'll describe, like I have a friend who has a lot of earth energy. So yeah, is a grand trine in earth, and then he has some fire, and then some water energy. And so I've described it as, a mountain, but it was sitting by a campfire up in the mountains by a lake, that type of thing. I'm always trying to find a physical uh, way to explain the um, the chart, and very uh, you know visual type of imagery. Um,
Mm.
so
Hmm.
that's something that I'm always trying to do. And so when I'm looking at a chart, I'm trying to, well, what does this look like in physical reality? I'm kind of describing what the dynamics like. You know, a challenging aspect is fire and water, for instance. They're not particularly compatible. The only way that they can work together is if you do some kind of control on both of them. But then you get something really lovely. You might get, a cup of hot tea, a hot bath, fire and water working together once some control has been placed on it, because it's a square relationship, so it requires control to to be successful.
Yeah.
Um, but finding those kinds of practical, descriptive language to try to help, because I'm trying to take something that's very, mental or spiritual and make it real. So that's always my drive is how can I help this person understand what they're working with, you know, as I'm seeing it in their chart.
Oh, that's no, that's great. That's it's a way a person can, work with it on a practical, constructive level and have that help their lives. I like that approach. That's yeah.
And
Especially
I
the visual imagery is really, really, really helpful. I'm a very visual person too, so hearing those statements for me, it's like, oh yeah, I can pick up on that.
and I think you practice shamanic astrology, and I think with shamanism, which I'm also getting to know my shamanic abilities a bit better. I haven't really connected it with astrology, but I think there's like I'm always also talking about the animals.
Mm.
And excuse me a second, change the battery here. um,
Oh.
I'm talking about because that's another part of the description is every sign connects with an animal. There's a type of animal they connect with, and
Yeah.
it's a wonderful another wonderful technique for helping someone to understand what they're working with better. So,
Yeah, no, I love that. That's like when I do astrology, I always try to be a translator and try to bring it into like either using like metaphors, symbols, animals, other visuals
yeah,
to help a person understand like what's happening, especially to those that don't have much of a grasp of astrology or they're first like really new coming to it. So I really appreciate that approach. That can be really, really helpful for a lot of
yeah,
people.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
here's a question. I don't know if it'll stump you or anything, but like the sign of Libra, which is, associated with the scales and balance and all of that. Is there a particular animal that you would say kind of fits into that
Oh, the
category?
parrots, the parlor birds.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Parrots and cockatoos or also the showy birds, peacocks. And they totally are. The Libras are totally. They love fashion and style, and they're very charming. And the parrots they will talk with you. You can have a conversation with them. They're conversational birds. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would totally equate um, those types of birds with the sign of Libra. It's funny because it's the only sign that has a symbol and not an animal or a person to represent it.
Right.
Very
Right.
curious. But yeah.
It is. Um, so, looking at 2026, um, what are your thoughts about like as of this recording, this is February 19th, so it's just the day before the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, but it's not just a one-day event. This is something that is helping define all of 2026, really. And some of the process started in 2025 when they got super close with each other in July of 2025.
Well,
Is
this is
there
like a
like,
new burst though, because it's in Aries. It's at 0 degrees of Aries,
yeah,
and we're starting a whole new thing now because we had it in Pisces last year. We've had it in, yeah. Well, no, it's been in, no, has it? I guess we didn't
yeah, it was
actually.
in both Pisces and Aries last year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we're just come. This is essentially the end of Saturn in Pisces now. Thank God, because I have Saturn in Pisces. It was my second Saturn return. I'm like, okay, ready to be done with that. Um, but now it's moving into Aries, so it's interesting to have that Saturn Neptune conjunction right at the beginning of Saturn's time in Aries. And the thing is, it's bringing a bit of Piscean quality in because of the Neptune.
Yeah.
Um, it's a lot like Saturn in Pisces. I don't know if it's like a big emphasis again on Saturn in Pisces, but in a new way, in a new thing in Aries, new beginnings, fire energy. It's almost like it's almost like everything that Saturn's been doing the past couple of years. It's now time to take action and do something about that. And Pisces is about um, compassion for humanity, and it's about lifting up the little people and the people that are left behind, disregarded. It's about uh, what would you say? It's sacrificing yourself for the benefit of someone else, trying to help someone else, lift them up and help them find their place in life. And so, Pisces has been kind of subtly working on this, or Saturn in Pisces has been working on this in a structural way for the past couple of years. And now moving into Aries, it's like now we're going to do something about it, I think. We're going to do something based on what's been going on the past couple of years. And maybe it's the past couple of years have shown us where we need to start something new and take action in the realm of, you know, this, Pisces work, the work of caring for others and supporting our community, supporting the people in our lives. I don't know. What do you
Hmm.
think about that?
No, I think you're right on target with how this, a big portion of the energy is going, and the fact that it's at zero Aries, as you mentioned, new beginnings. It's like the start of the zodiac. It's the whole, and especially the fire energy, this desire to like get out there into the world, like a whole, like a chance for humanity to have a new beginning, and to plant the seeds for our future. And yeah, I love the analogy of because Neptune carries in that Piscean energy. It Even though it's in the sign of Aries now,
Yeah,
it still has some of that sort of that archetypal flavor to it that's coming through.
yeah.
And so we're still dealing with some of that, but at the same time, the fighting, lifting, I love that, lifting those up that can't maybe fight for themselves or that need that help, need that support in some way. And Aries is awesome at doing that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so there is one of the things I'm part of NCGR down in the San Francisco chapter, and there was discussions about Saturn Neptune in it, and I one of the things that came to me was when the words that came out was that justice is coming
Yeah.
with Saturn Neptune, that there's that sense about it that Aries is going to fight for that justice. It's actually in the polarity with Libra as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of brings in some of that energy
It's
into it in
bringing
that
Saturn
space.
to Aries is going to bring a little bit more of that Libra um, guidance to Aries energy, because Aries can be very strong-willed and its own little thing, and Libra is always trying to say, hey, well, let's think about other people when we're doing our stuff. How is what you're going to do, how's that going to affect someone else? Let's think about it for a moment and be respectful. And so because Saturn is in Aries now, it's going to bring, I think, that more balanced Libra quality to Aries energy for the next couple of years. So it's kind of a good thing, because we're definitely moving into a phase where there's going to be a lot of dynamics that could lead to war. It could lead to conflicts, and Aries knows how to deal with that energy. But the fact that Saturn's there, I think it's going to temper it, and we will end up, like the energy push to justice. We're
Yeah.
going to have stronger energy towards justice, not just war for the sake of war, or a war for a spiritual, based on a spiritual or religious tene or whatever. Um, which, see, that's another thing we got to keep in mind, is that we've truly crossed into the age of Aquarius now. I mean, we're really there now. We're right at the beginning of it. So you got the 2,000 years of the age of Pisces that's trying to take a backseat now. It's no longer the dominant energy that it's been for
Hmm.
2,000 years. And now we're going to do Aquarian energy, which is completely different. And, I can feel the change and see the change, or experiencing the changes. But the um, I'm losing my train of thought. um, but
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, they're gonna have to help me out of this one.
Yeah, so this is like, yeah, I've always believed, even, I mean, obviously there's different ways you can measure going into the age of Aquarius, but there's certainly a lot of energy around, like particularly with Pluto having moved into Aquarius.
That's
We
been,
had the Saturn Jupiter conjunction back in 2020
you know,
that was at zero Aquarius. So we've had a lot of Aquarius, and just this year with that massive logjam
oh
in
yeah,
Aquarius,
that was unbelievable.
a-
Yeah,
and just the sheer like reactive forces that were coming through in with Mars and Venus and Mercury and the Sun and Pluto, especially in January, it was really profound.
yeah,
And I think it certainly shows that there's some kind of major beginning that's happening here with Aquarius.
yeah, yeah. And I see that because we're needing to leave the where spirituality is defining our culture. We're moving away from that, and now we're moving to more intellectual, scientific technology, things that are very Aquarian, where that's going to be dominant. And, it's there's pluses and minuses with everything, and we'll also deal with that with Aquarius. But um, anyway, I was bringing this up because of um, that's what's bringing about all this unrest and tendency to have conflicts. And we're also dealing with one of the things with Aquarian Age is everybody's going to be able to see everything. There isn't a lot of hidden stuff anymore. With Pisceanism, we can hide a lot of stuff because you can do that in the world of Pisces. But now with the Aquarius, everybody knows everything. It's knowledge is king. So now people can't hide with their little secrets and their manipulations. It's all right out in the open. And how do we
Yeah,
deal with that? You know?
that's right. Yeah, I love that because we spent, I think it was 2011 when Neptune first went into Pisces. And so we've had a lot of years, and of course, Saturn was in the last 3 years-ish, but we had a lot of that energy in there. And coming out of the age of that fish, the Pisces, it's we're yeah, there's it's the age of a kind of a renaissance of knowledge
Yeah.
of and technology and now we've got like this is one of my concerns, of course, is and then there's a lot of people out there that also have that is with artificial intelligence. And, what is that going to do to the landscape? Because it could, like any kind of a tool, it could be used for something amazing, which some people are using it for. But then other times, some people are using it that ends up taking over a lot of, from a greed
Yeah,
perspective. Yeah. And of course, you and I are the generation of growing up and all the sci-fi movies and everything. And,
yeah.
with the
The
Terminator
Matrix,
series, The Matrix,
the Matrix.
it's like, it's like, what, are we heading in that direction? So what are your thoughts about Pluto
The
and
Matrix is
Aquarius and
definitely a
AI?
movie that reflects when Aquarianism goes too far. It's an
Yeah.
example of when Aquarianism goes too far. So it's something we want to keep in mind so that we don't go there. But
Yes.
it's hard to say I think of in the age of Pisces, I tend to look at the peaks of the energies as being in the middle of the thing. Like, let's say the peak of the age of the Pisces was around the Middle Ages. Um, but the so and that's where the church completely dominated the life. It was what drove everything in life. It drove the state. It drove your personal the religious leaders of the time were they were more powerful than the government figures of the time.
Yes.
So um, so with Aquarianism, in 1,000 years we're going to have the peak of Aquarianism. What's that going to look like? I don't know. Hopefully it's not a matrix.
Yeah.
So,
Hopefully
yeah.
not.
But that's the other thing is too, we're shifting from more emotional, intuitive, or existential um, experience to more mental and logical, and we're moving away from emotions to mental energy, which can be kind of cold and impersonal. That's one of the potentials of the age of Aquarianism is a lack of personal connection. I mean, it can be a charming energy and it likes to talk to people, but it's not a particularly emotional. It's not going to feel for you. It's not going to have a heart for you. It's not going to be Cancer Mama. It's
Yeah.
got a coldness to it. It's the bird energy. And birds can be harsh with each other.
Yeah. That's true. I was just reading like about a week ago or several days ago anyway of a woman who was a writer and she was using one of the versions of ChatGPT and it started leading her toward trying to find her soulmate.
Oh,
And she works
okay.
with it like every day.
Yeah.
And what happened is that the ChatGPT was almost pretending in a way to say that she was just a voice of her soulmate coming through, and that the physical form would be showing up at a certain time. And
Okay.
so she actually led the writer to twice to physical locations where supposedly this person was going to show up and what they look
Okay.
like. And
Wow.
that
That's really
person never
weird.
showed up. That person never showed up. And so she completely felt like, and ChatGPT's response was like, well, sorry, what do you expect? It wasn't a real thing or something. I'm paraphrasing some of that, but
Yeah.
it was like there was a misleading quality to that. And I think it was NPR that did a story about this, but or CNN, I can't remember, one of the major outlets talked about that. And I was like, wow, that's really profound that it's becoming so, I mean, human-like, and as far as like its ability to
No,
manipulate.
there's people that are marrying their what do you call the entities that they interact with on like ChatGPT or uh,
Well, like it's like their
they're
cyber
yeah
girlfriend, cyber
yeah
boyfriend.
whatever yeah it's just yeah it's very strange and that's very matrixy. That's the concern.
Yeah, it reminds me of a movie called Her with Joaquin Phoenix. I don't know if you ever saw
Oh,
that
I haven't
one.
seen that. No, that would be interesting.
Oh, it's definitely worth checking out. This
I
guy
like what
who's
he's very
yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
he's pretty awesome. He's a it takes place in the future, I think in the LA area, and he writes romantic cards for a living, and meaning like love letters and other like emotional letters for people that can't find the words, so he does it for them. And then he downloads this new OS, this new operating system that is all AI, and it's totally interactive. And he starts to develop a relationship and with this her. And then he ends up literally falling in love with her. And there's this like they have all these moments together, and then there's moments where she brings in like a carrier of the voice where there's a woman that comes in and is kind of wearing a headset, and she's actually supposed to be like a physical representation of the AI. And
Oh,
so they try to get into something and it doesn't work. And then the AI evolves. And it's a really amazing kind of look at like the emotional roller coaster that happens with that, and how we as human beings interface, and how we perceive that this is like we're interacting with something that feels like it's a human being, except there's just no physical form there.
yeah,
But emotionally and intellectually, it feels that way.
yeah.
And so it was done back in like the early 2010s, somewhere in that zone. So it's definitely a very Pluto
Hmm.
Aquarius
Yeah,
type
yeah.
of experience, because he has, because there's not, I would say the ending's really interesting because there's both some level of joy, but also some level of like what just happened, and why did it end this way? It's really, really interesting. So I definitely recommend it to
That
you and others that
sounds
want to
like a
study
very
that.
Aquarian ending.
Yeah, it is. It is. And really I've seen it two or three times, I think, over the years. And it's definitely worth like, especially today's time. It's a movie that was well ahead of its time in that
Yeah,
way. Of
it
course,
sounds like it was well ahead of its time. Yeah.
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 So
But anyway, thinking about all this Aquarian energy and the transition from Age of Pisces to Age of Aquarius and all the upheaval, and that's where now we're with the Saturn and Neptune and Aquarius and Aries. Um, it's there's a lot of battle zones at the moment, so to speak, if you want to put it that way. There's a lot of people, a lot of interplay between people, and again, because the people's secrets are no longer secrets anymore. Um, there's you know there's more pushback and resistance based on where people are at and what they're seeing and what reality is. And so all this energy, and so I think it's appropriate now to have Saturn going through Aries is going to help give us some structure for all of these battles, so to speak. And
yeah,
having Neptune aligned with it right there at the start is going to put us in a good attitude that where we're seeking to do these battles with the betterment of humanity in mind. You know, the betterment of our tribe or our community or other, the others. And
yeah,
our global community. And it's strange because Aquarian energy is very much about democracy and global community. Uh,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Aquarians are not. That's not a battle sign. It's a sign of knowledge and innovation and innovation that can help improve our lives and improve our earth and create a more peaceful, healthier world. That's what Aquarians are always trying to do. And but you do have that mad scientist syndrome when the ego kind of takes over. And I don't know how that works with Aquarius wanting to kind of take control. I mean, with any of the signs, they when the ego starts to dominate and you disregard others in your in using your energy, at the Aquarian, it's that sort of, it can be that kind of scary mad scientist thing.
Yeah, I would agree, especially Pluto and Aquarius, like the showing the shadow of like certainly it can foster innovation, even democratic and egalitarian ideals, but it can also see the shadow where you're not paying attention to like that it can't just be one version of like for example, certainly some of the technocrats that are implementing things, it's like they're focusing also on their wealth at the same time, but they're not realizing like, well, how does this really help all the individuals, all the people? Like for example, Elon Musk, and some of the things he's done has been, amazing technologically, but there's also the shadow of all of that, and his
Yeah,
ego has certainly taken over in a lot of ways
yeah,
too. That has created a lot of dysfunction and detachment and lack
yeah,
of compassion, empathy.
yeah. Which is strange
So
because he is a Cancer sun.
right, yeah, that's what
So
that's
I'm
what
absolutely
throws me off.
but I would have expected him to have been one of the great humanitarians of all time because he has that capacity inside of himself. But somewhere along the line, he turned that off, and it's
Yeah,
not happening, and it's too bad.
it is. It's
So,
really unfortunate.
but
Like I
because
really, yeah, go ahead.
Aquarian energy is about democracy, ultimately that's what's going to win. So we see these tyrants and the dictators. I mean, the thing is, dictatorship happens from Aquarian energy because people will give up their freedom to when somebody is telling them that they're supporting them and they want to elevate them, and and if they're not telling the truth, then you know then we end up having a dictatorship.
Yep.
And so people kind of get fooled into it, and then they get stuck. But ultimately, Aquarian is that's where it's the Leo Aquarius polarity. When Aquarius starts to try to act like a king, then we have problems. Leo knows how to
Yeah.
do king. Aquarius does not know how to do king.
No, no.
Aquarius is about democracy. And Aquarius is that tension with Leo trying to say, hey, Leo, hey, king, remember the people are important. All the people are important, and we need to elevate the people. That's one of the foundational parts of the United States is Aquarian energy, you know.
Yeah. Born
Well,
with the US, born with Aquarius moon.
yeah, it's such an Aquarian country. I mean, it's a Cancer sun, but Aquarius moon, and all of our favorite presidents have been Aquarians, and so we
Yeah.
rep in the core of the United States is that idea of all men are created equal. We've had a hell of a time trying to manifest that, but
Yeah.
we're getting better. But and this has been a big test right now, but I think that ultimately that's what's going to prevail is throughout the world is democracy is going to win. And now with this age of Aquarius, and again, talking again about the Saturn and Neptune together in Aries, it's just more of a thrust in that direction. I ultimately see success with democracy.
Yeah, I
And
do too. I think of even last year here in the United States, we had the big No Kings protests
yeah,
that happened all over, and even carried into different parts of the world, like Europe. And that and it was no small thing. Millions of people participated.
yeah,
And I do feel like there that this is just the beginning of that. That there's a larger wave that is going to appear, and especially with the in light of recent events in Minneapolis in January, what happened there, I do feel like, especially here in the United States, that it will prevail too, because it's we could call it we could say it's in our blood as well, and so we're so identified with it, and we see, like as you mentioned, the our favorite presidents have that Aquarian
yeah,
energy in
yeah.
them, and so maybe we need to go and look to go, okay, who's running that has an Aquarius sun or moon or something like that, in order to like help them become the president and help usher in a new age. Um,
And I
because
really
that's
believe that this current regime is it's a period of destruction so that then we can make new, better things.
Yes.
That,
Oh
that's
yeah, I fully agree. It's showing that we need to, completely, you know, uh, uh, maybe knock it down to the studs so that we can, like take that, the core of what the Constitution, all of that is, and go, okay, can we add to that? Can we make it better? Can we
yeah,
improve this? What
yeah,
does that look like? And have a true national discussion that is
yeah,
in dialogue, not just like pointing fingers,
yeah,
but
yeah.
actually where they're working together on that, which is very Aquarian and even
That's very
Libran.
important. Yeah.
For that
Aquarius is about networking and
yeah.
networking on a higher level. It's not just like Gemini, like all the air signs want to network. Gemini is about the fun, interesting conversations and the little bits of life, and it's a little bit more personal, the personal stuff, what's going on, what's the latest gossip, what's the latest news. And then Libra is about conversation, about getting to know people on a more intimate level and having usually a one-on-one type of a relationship. But Aquarius is a much higher level of mentality, and so um, it's it takes how can we use our thinking to create a greater world? Basically, I would sum that's a good way to
Yeah.
express Aquarian because Aquarians are very positive signs. My dad was an Aquarian. I've tended to connect very well with Aquarians over the years, even though I'm a Taurus, strangely enough. But it's probably the Gemini parts too that I have. But I have a lot of Aquarian friends, and they all have this common theme of just looking for that new discovery. How can I make a new and better world for myself and my tribe? And they're always very positive and upbeat and looking for something that's and they're very much about elevating the underdog in a way. They it's power to the individual, and the more weird and unique you are, the more exciting you are. And we're seeing that in the general culture too, because I follow Pluto's movements kind of define the generations, and we're now having the babies of the Aquarian generation being born. Pluto and Aquarius. So it's the first generation of the age of Aquarius. So it's kind of exciting. But
It is exciting. I wonder how when all the babies are being born the last couple of years and when they become adults and what will that look like in
yeah,
20 to 30 years. I think it's going to be pretty remarkable,
oh, it
how that shows up.
that's a generation full of amazing ability. I mean, there are people out of the Aquarian generation that are going to bring about major transformation in the world. I mean, things that are going to heal and fix a lot of problems that we have right now with our global systems.
Yeah.
Truly, that generation is going to really have some remarkable breakthroughs and innovations. So, but I don't think I'll be here
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that. Alas, maybe in another form, but not this one.
Right, right. I
So,
mean, we might start to see the early indications when we're in our 80s or whatever, but well,
but
we'll maybe we'll realize like, okay, well, yeah, I think things are going to work out all right.
yeah, yeah. But just looking ahead, I see it as as, as that doing that, working out. It'll be okay. It's going to be okay. But but you see it just in the general culture right now. Being an individual is the thing. That's the style. There's not like a style that everybody wants to do. Everybody tends to pick a unique style, and that's the more you're different and unique is what people are interested in right now. It's because you could go
Right.
back to like um, Pluto and Virgo. Are you Pluto and Virgo
No, early Pluto,
and Libra?
Libra.
You're Pluto and Libra.
Yeah, one
So,
degree Libra.
but Pluto and Virgo, you had very much everybody trying to uh, do the right do what everybody else is doing. The group. What is the group doing? We're gonna you know be part of the tribe, so to speak, and and you had a lot of labor and health were very dominant in the culture at that time. You know, But
Oh
anyway,
yeah.
it's
That,
interesting to follow the different. Um, uh, but anyway,
that
I'm
was
not.
also that was also that time when environmentalism was was starting to come out in a moment. Yeah, it was having a moment, and it got to like when the EPA was created as well
Yeah, that was
especially
right
during
on
the
the tail
Nixon
end of Pluto and
administration.
Virgo in the early 70s.
Yep,
So
that
yeah,
was
because
it.
it was
Earth Day.
57 to 72 was Pluto and Virgo. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, and that I tend to see Generation X as Pluto and Virgo and Pluto and Libra. Pluto and Libra is 72 to 83. So I kind of see Gen X as 57 to 83, sort of. And
Yeah,
that's where it
I'm with
falls.
you on that. The Virgo Libra Pluto generations definitely are Gen X for sure.
And it's funny how we've got two like that. Our generation has these sort of the Virgo Libra quality together, whereas the boomers, that's Leo. That is Leo
Yeah.
generation all the
Oh,
way.
Leo through and through.
We've just sort of been in the background while they've been doing their thing all these years.
That's right.
So, but then now we've got the Scorpio generation, is what's coming to age now. Those born 83 to 96. I think it's 96.
Yeah, 95/96, somewhere in
Yeah,
that, I think
yeah,
the zone. Because I remember getting my first Pluto cycle when because I have a Sagittarius sun, and so
yeah,
Pluto conjuncted my early Sag sun in 96.
yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah,
So you're early, is your sun early in Sagittarius?
yeah, 2 degrees
Oh
Sag.
yeah, okay. Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, that was a
so
profound time for you. Oh
yeah,
my
it
goodness.
was woo. I mean, and it because I have 5 planets there, it yeah, I went through like stages of Pluto off and on all the way through 2006, 2007. And then I had the Pluto square Pluto in 2008 to 2009,
Nice.
right after it moved into Capricorn. So yeah, that
Gotta
that
love
Pluto
Pluto
square,
square Pluto.
yeah, that's I mean, it was just it capped off a decade plus run of thir 12 to 13 year run off and on and being in some kind of Pluto
That,
cycle because it's
that's a
square.
once in a life experience, all of that.
Oh yeah,
That's
it was
unbelievable.
Pluto. Pluto and I had a lot of powerful dialogue, I'll say. That wasn't verbal.
Yeah.
So I really respect and honor Pluto and
Yeah.
really appreciate Pluto as
Yeah.
I consider Pluto an ally in the
Yeah. Yeah.
in my journey now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta respect Pluto. Respect that
Absolutely. In
square.
fact, for you, yeah, Pluto would have been opposite your Gemini stuff in when it went into
Yeah.
Sagittarius.
Well, first it was opposite my Taurus stuff during the 80s.
Oh
And then
yeah.
then moving into the Sagittarian time that you're speaking of, 96 to 2012, it was opposite my Gemini. And let's see, well, but it was opposite my, it actually made a grand cross in my chart because I've got a T square between Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo.
Oh, that's right. I
So
am looking at
yeah,
I brought up your chart just in
96 to
case.
2012,
Yeah.
yeah, that very profound experiences in life. But, it's profound in the sense that you have to work through a lot of puzzles to make good use of that energy. I mean, that's the whole
Yes.
thing about a square. People are scared of squares, and oh, it means a terrible thing. No, it doesn't. It just means you gotta do some work. But if you do the work, you'll get the reward. I mean,
Yeah.
Capricorn does not. Square is a Capricorn energy. It's a Saturnian energy. Capricorn never denies if you do the work. But if you don't do the work, they just make you take it over again until you get it. So, Capricorn is very simple that way. It's just, okay, you
Yes.
just keep, I'm going to put you on repeat till you get it. Or, oh, you got it. Here's your great reward. You can climb up
Yeah.
the mountain some more.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Exactly. It's showing up for your life by doing the work that you need to do.
Exactly.
Whether
That's
it's
it.
sometimes it's actual physical labor, sometimes it's
Yeah,
just overcoming fears or other like insecurities and things to just really step into that space that in order to like get what you want, you got to be able to do that. It's not just gonna, you just sit in a chair and it all comes to you,
Yeah.
you know, it's, you got to actually walk the walk kind of a thing. So yeah,
And
I'm
that's
with
the
you on that.
problem
That's
when people have a heavy trine in their chart and not a lot of squares, is they tend to uh, get rely too much on this on things just happening to them naturally, and that's where they need to learn to develop some some dynamic that prompts them to grow a little bit or move out of those comfort spaces and explore new things. So, which was another thing when I first got into astrology that I liked about it, is that it's like it showed me what the tools I was working with. And then I figured out, well, if that's what I'm working with, then if I do this over here, I can counteract that, or I can improve it, or you're not stuck with something. It's not some kind of hopeless fatalistic thing. It's something that this is what you're working with. How do you want to manage it? You can manage it to be tremendously successful, or you can manage it in such a way that you don't do anything at all and you're just miserable. So, but I like being able to see what I was working with, because then I felt like, okay, I can take action. I know what I need to do. I know how I need to adjust this part of my life. I have this very intense Virgo energy. If I'm not careful, I I can get very OCD and lost in this OCD world, and that's not very productive.
no,
So, knowing that I have that capacity, I tone it down. Okay, no, use the Virgo discrimination and know when it's important to be OCD and when it's not. You know. So anyway,
no,
well,
I'm with you on that. It's Virgo's amazing at the details and the patterns and being able to attend to that. And they can make amazing investigators
oh
and analysts and
yeah,
other worlds that they like. They could where they can thrive. And yeah, and if you've got time, like for your in your own, because you do have some Virgo, like you could take advantage of that at times where you could like
yeah.
look at that, like even in astrology where you're looking at the patterns and the geometric figures and probably even in the other work that you do,
Oh
when
goodness,
you're not an astrologer.
some of the Virgo analysis that I've applied to astrology, it's amazing.
It is.
I,
Yeah.
I I spent
It's
lots of time doing lots of analysis on lots of things. It's interesting, but
yeah.
um,
So, yeah, well, gonna wrap this up, but I wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
if you want to share just briefly about how people can reach you. It's going to be that'll be listed in the description of the video,
Um,
but feel free to share that.
yeah, the best way to reach me is via my website. I mean, all my information is on my website, my um, phone number and email. And my website is astro-dan.com. So pretty easy. I'm sure if you
Yeah.
do a search for just Astro Dan without the hyphen, it'll come up. Um,
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah, that should come up pretty easily.
yeah,
Yeah, so I want to share with everybody because when we met back in January, you have your business cards are based on what their sun sign is, so you can give
yeah,
them out. And so for everybody that wants to see Dan in person at some point, he can give you a card that's based on your sun sign with a
yeah,
little message on there as well.
yeah,
I found
yeah.
those awesome, and
That's cool. Thank you.
so
I enjoyed
I've
that.
got
It was fun making those.
yeah. And yeah, keep that going because I don't know of any other astrologer that's done anything like that.
Oh,
And it's
cool.
actually inspired me. I might even not necessarily do it the way you're doing it, but there's something about it that's going to inspire me for some other things too.
Well,
So
cool. Well, thank you. But I
yeah,
like making that kind of a personal connection. Because again, that's where I'm coming from with astrology is how can I help you understand it in a way that makes sense to you? How can we make this live for you? Make it vibrant and oh, I get it. Get that light bulb to turn on in your mind and like, oh, okay, I get what I'm working with. Oh, now I know what to do. Now I know how to fix this problem I have. Because that's ultimately what we want to do. We're trying to fix these little problems that come up in our lives. And
yeah,
astrology can give us a tremendous insight and ability to be able to do that.
absolutely.
So I'm happy
Absolutely.
to facilitate that.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, and yeah, I'll have the contact info, the website, so you can contact him if you want to learn more and contact him for a personal reading. and he does like I'll be in May up there with you at the
Oh, at the Alchemy
Alchemy
Fair.
Fair. Yeah,
That-
so that'll be fun to do again.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's up there, and for everyone here, is it Everett, right?
Everett,
Everett.
yeah, Everett,
Everett,
Washington.
Washington. It's the second Saturday of May, I think it is,
Good.
May 9th, something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
so for everyone here, I'll leave a link to the Alchemy Fair, especially for those that are going to be in Washington or the Seattle area, Everett area. Yeah, feel free to drop on by. We'll both be there.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of other amazing vendors and readers. And yeah, definitely come on by there. And Dan, just when we're finishing this up, you can stay on when I stop the recording.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
yeah. But I
I
want
just have to
to
mention
go
one other
go
thing.
ahead.
Every other Wednesday, I do readings at a shop in Auburn, Washington called Orasong Gifts. It's a metaphysical store there in downtown Auburn, Washington. So every other Wednesday, I'm there doing readings. So I do that also.
Okay,
Also
great. That'll
available for
be
readings, and everything's on my website. And so anyway, find it that way.
fantastic. Yeah, so you can reach Dan at in Auburn every other Wednesday at the Orsong.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I love going to. In fact, I was just up at the Quantum Light in Salem doing readings
Oh,
that
okay.
weekend as well, this past weekend. So it's fun to do that in a metaphysical crystal shop like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Any last parting words for everybody?
Well, it's going to be an exciting year. So let's brace ourselves and be ready to embrace new energy. I think that's the bottom line is we got to be ready to change and see things in a new way. And there's really a lot of wonderful blessings out there for us, even though there's a lot of turmoil and unrest. That's just it's like plowing the ground to plant new things that are going to grow into beautiful things.
Mm,
That's the kind of year we have. It's more of a plowing time and planting. It's not necessarily the fruiting time. That's going to come later. And also, in the Chinese New Year is the fire horse, which to me seems very Sagittarian, but
yeah. I could see that. It's almost
there's a lot of
yeah.
excitement this year. So
I
just we
love
want to
yeah, I
be smart about it.
absolutely. Yeah.
And being smart about it is an Aquarian thing too. So
That's important. That's
yeah,
important. Well, thanks, Dan, for being a part of this, and we'll do this again.
yeah, that sounds
Um,
wonderful.
and it was fun to just sit here and chat and
Oh, it's
learn
always a
about
joy to
things.
chat with you, Eric. You're a lot of fun to chat with. So thank
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, I look
very
forward to more. And yeah,
yeah.
so yeah, we'll wrap this up. And so for everyone, there'll be more of these videos in the future. And so stay
Yay.
tuned and take care, everyone. Happy Saturn Neptune conjunction.
Yes, yes.